All right, let's talk about something we've all experienced, right? You're sitting in a presentation, it's just dragging on, the slides are a blur, and you're kind of just counting the minutes till it's over. Well, we are going to talk about how to completely flip that, how to take a presentation from something people endure to something they actually remember and enjoy.
For anyone who has to give a presentation, this is probably the biggest fear. You look out at the audience and you just see nothing. Blank stares, it feels like you might as well be talking to a brick wall. How do you even know if any of what you're saying is getting through?
And this quote right here from an audience member named Neil just hits the nail on the head. This is what it feels like from the other side. People just tune out. They're not being rude, it's just the connection is gone. And that's the exact feeling we want to fix.
So what's the real problem here? Why does this happen all the time? Well, it turns out there's a very common trap that most of us fall into, and we don't even know it. It's called the one-dimensional trap.
And here's what it is. It's when we think our only job is to just deliver the information. You stand up, you go through your points, click through your slides, and then you sit down. But when that's all you do, you create this flat, totally unengaging experience that makes it super easy for your audience to just check out.
Yeah, this really gets to the core of it. Think about it. If you're just dumping information on people, it's like you're a delivery driver dropping a package on their doorstep. That's not real communication. Real communication is about helping them open the package. And to do that, you need more tools than just the content itself. You need a whole toolbox.
Which brings us to the fun part, the solution. So let's open up this toolbox and look at 6 super practical tools you can use to make literally any presentation more dynamic and way more engaging.
Okay, here's what we've got in the box. We're going to cover questions, props, activities, videos, storytelling, and analogies. These are going to be your secret weapons for breaking out of that one-dimensional trap for good. First up, let's talk about using questions. And I don't mean just any question. The goal here is to strategically pull your audience back into the conversation. This is an absolute game changer in virtual meetings. But here's the trick. Don't ask these big, vague, open-ended questions. Give them super simple, specific choices. And this shows you exactly what I mean. Asking any thoughts? That usually gets you crickets, right? Silence. But if you ask, hey, which of these 3 points hit home the most? Just type 1, 2, or 3 in the chat. Well, that's easy. It takes 2 seconds. It gets people to physically do something, which immediately re-engages their brain.
Okay, tool number 2, props. A prop is amazing because it takes an idea that's just floating in the air and makes it physical. It makes it real. And there's a classic example of this that is just perfect.
So picture this. Bill Gates is on a huge stage giving a talk about malaria. He's talking about how devastating it is, how it's spread by mosquitoes, and then he pauses and he holds up this little glass jar, and inside, live mosquitoes. And then he says that line right before he opens the jar and lets the mosquitoes out into this fancy auditorium. Now, don't worry, he let everyone know they weren't infected. But can you imagine? In that single moment, the threat of malaria became very, very real for everyone in that room. That is the power of a prop. Nobody is forgetting that presentation. All right, our third tool is activities. Think of this as your reset button. You know that moment, maybe 20 minutes into a presentation, where you can just feel the energy in the room start to sag? That is the perfect time for what's called a pattern break. It's a quick, planned action that just shakes things up and gets everyone focused again. And these do not have to be complicated. Seriously, it can be as simple as, all right, everybody, let's take 15 seconds, stand up, and have a quick stretch. Or turn to the person next to you and share the one thing that surprised you so far. It just breaks that passive listening state and instantly brings the energy back. A short video can work as another great pattern break. All of a sudden, it's not your voice anymore. The visuals change, the pace changes. It could be a clip from a movie, a customer testimonial, anything that illustrates your point. The keywords here, though, are short and relevant. You want it to support your message, not become a distraction. And finally, we've got 2 of the most powerful communication tools there are: storytelling and analogies. I mean, a good story connects with people on a totally different level, an emotional level. It makes your point stick. And a clever analogy? It's like a bridge. It takes a new, complicated idea and connects it to something your audience already gets. It just makes things click. So now you've got this awesome toolbox, and you might be tempted to use all of them all at once. But hold on, this is where the real secret comes in. It's about strategy, not just putting on a show.
I absolutely love this piece of advice because it's so true. If you try to cram a prop and an activity and 3 videos and a story into one 20-minute talk, it's just going to feel chaotic. It's distracting. It feels, like a clown show.
So here is the magic number. For any given presentation, just pick 1 or 2. That's it. Maybe this time you'll focus on asking one really good strategic question. Or maybe you'll bring in a single powerful prop. Just adding 1 or 2 of these extra dimensions is all it takes to make a huge difference.
And this is a really important mindset shift. Your goal isn't to become some kind of entertainer or performer. You're using these tools with a purpose to help your audience connect with your ideas. Each tool is just a different lens you're giving them to look through and understand what you're trying to say. So all of this leads to a brand new way of thinking about your job as a speaker. We need to move beyond just presenting. Your job is to create an experience. When you thoughtfully pick a tool from your engagement toolbox, you stop just delivering information. You start creating moments. Moments of interaction, of surprise, of connection, and those are the things that make your message unforgettable. So the next time you've got a presentation coming up, don't just think about what you're gonna say. Think about the experience you want to create for your audience. And ask yourself, what's the first tool from this toolbox you're gonna put to work?